I just want to change the world to a better place, and that's why I'm doing this. So, okay, Lars.
Yeah. So I could just real briefly tell you a little bit about our project, though. And actually, this is an image from. Is it from this weekend in Indonesia?
A couple of days ago in Indonesia, there was a tsunami and an earthquake in Palu, and this is a town 10 kilometers from Palu, Wani, and where this boat ended up in the middle of the town.
So this is just fresh out of the render machine, just an hour ago. So at Dagens Nyheter we had a long history of photojournalism, and we, at the moment, today we have 11 photographers, staff photographers. So we try to push visual journalism a lot. And about 2.5 years ago, I got assigned to take our visual journalism into VR. So since then, I've been working full time as a VR producer and filmer. So we've done about 16 different stories. And it's basically, it's like everything that Dagens Nyheter does, like Dagens Nyheter journalism. So it's a lot of foreign stories, like Gaza, Japan, North Korea, but also like stories from Stockholm or things like that. And we try to understand when VR works well. We have quite good numbers, but the users are not really in VR yet. So what we do is like we don't try to produce super much. We try to. It rather takes a little bit of time, but we learn during the process. So we try to experiment a lot. Like each story has to be a new adventure, something that we haven't tried before. And these latest couple of stories has been like a lot of experimenting with not just 360 things happening all around you, but like a physical experience. For example, like in Gaza, this story is made by Paul Hansen, who's a photographer at the end. And Gaza is a very special place. I've been there as a photographer as well. It's difficult to show in pictures because it's this weird sort of physical feeling of being trapped inside this area. So I got really interested in trying to make VR from there. So we did that one, and then the latest story we did is from Ludvika. It's a neo-Nazi demonstration. Lotta went there to shoot for the newspaper, actually, but
yeah. I was sent there for the newspaper to do a normal news coverage with normal still cameras. And then both me and Lars have been to many neo-Nazi demonstrations, and I started to think about what's happening on public spaces in Sweden 2018. What's happening, and I wanted to start a dialogue about what's happening in Sweden right now, and it was hard to be able to do this with a still camera or a video camera. So I got this weird idea that if I go there and do my normal job, and then I also bring some VR cameras, a GoPro Fusion I had, 2 of them, one mounted on the still camera and one on a tripod. And if I collect scenes on among the demonstrationståg, and then try to meet people, a couple of people who are there, not demonstrating, but as an audience or as a police, or and then try to bring them to Stockholm, to our newspaper, and to make them look at the VR material I had recorded, and then make them to tell about how they experienced the situation in Ludvika. It's kind of mindfuck. It's really. And one morning I went to Lars at the coffee machine at Dagens Nyheter, and I said, well, I have this idea that we do this, and then they come here, and then they tell, and then and he was like, yeah, I think I've seen a game, computer game, doing something like that, and well.
Yeah, so So I got hooked on the idea because I know it's this special physical feeling being at this kind of demonstration, and I figured that we might find a way to do this, but it was a very difficult story to make. This was the most difficult story we made so far, because we have a really strict picture policy at the end. It's always difficult to show Nazis, for example. It's always a big discussion. So we figured this might be a way to tell this story. And so we wanted to have the feeling that you go into VR together with one of these persons. This is Johanna. She's a local in Ludvika. She's a teacher. This is Hedi Fried, who is a Holocaust survivor, and this is Tommy Lind, who's a police in charge of media at the demonstration. So the feeling is like you go into VR together with them, and they try to analyze what was the thing that we experienced, and you experience it with them. And I think in the end, we cut 10 different versions of this video.
Yeah.
One time it was too much Nazis, so we tried to put them in the back, tried to figure ways to sort of show the local people instead. And then it was too much of Hedi Fried because she has a very strong story. But we didn't want it to be her story; we wanted it to be about public space. So it was a lot of testing. A lot of bringing people to the VR room and trying it out on them and try to figure out what's the story.
Yeah, so my aim was to open up a dialogue about freedom of speech and democracy. And now we've been to Bokmässan, and now we've been here, and we've been showing this to people at the newspaper. And the thing is, when we show this to people want to discuss how come is this happening in Sweden? What's happening? What kind of laws do we have? And how does the political system works? And now we're very happy because this film is going to be touring with Forum för levande historia, and then it's going to be in 2019. Many young people are going to see this film together with this exhibition, and then we're also going to show this in schools. We have läromedelsföretag at DN also, and they want to try this at schools.
Any questions? Have anyone seen it? A few?
How many views?
Don't really have the numbers. We have quite a lot of different platforms, and plus when I asked my boss about the numbers, he said, well, you shouldn't focus on the numbers, you should focus on your own stuff. So, this is not a business model for us. We don't charge anything. You don't have to sign up for anything. I mean, it's free for everyone. But it's been really strong reactions to this one. Really interesting. And it also doesn't answer really any questions. It's just it's a discussion that we hope will continue after you watched it.
I have a question. What's the advantage with 360? You worked a lot in post-production, what I understood. But what was the
advantage is we've been to so many of these demonstrations. We try to shoot pictures.
Yeah.
It doesn't show this feeling that we have when we are there.
Yeah.
So we never felt that we can bring this to our readers. So we figured maybe this is the one way we can do it. And I mean,
how do the viewers? They never look like this.
We tried. When I started with VR, I was super paranoid about where will people look, how will I frame. So I started trying to do all these tricks. But now it's because we've done quite a few productions and we try it on a lot of people. So in the end, I will know 90% for everybody will look all the time. There are differences. Some people move a lot, some people doesn't move. But generally, how to. So we can sort of. That's why we tried with this. When there's too much focus on the Nazis. And for a while, all the men we showed, they always turn towards the Nazis, where a lot of the women will look at the people, protesting against the Nazis. So we try to find ways to tell the story that we wanted to tell. Yeah.
Have you experimented with the framing going 180 instead of 360?
Yeah, we have, yeah. Things I like 360 so much. There is advantages. There's a lot of it makes it easier in post, but at the moment we're not really. We're still like struggling with 360. We want to understand it, so we don't want to. And it's only me that work full time, so I don't. I want to learn this and then probably move over to maybe 180. I mean, some stories will be good in that, but now we're working a lot with this like physical feeling, and that I think breaks it a little bit. If there's no like, we really try to understand when are we hijacking your senses that you really think you are there, and how can we sort of use that to tell a story.
Have you tried using 360 equipment on drones?
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, we haven't. I mean, we're doing a project now about Slussen. So I was flying over Slussen, but it's we don't have any big drones, so we use like a fusion. So it's not, it's like, it's the quality that we get. We can sometimes we hire a professional drone person to make it better, but yeah.
So of course the immersion is super important, and it allows us to kind of like teach people, and I think especially in these days, like teaching them about the democracy and these kind of important issues is really big. Do you have any plans to like move towards interactive elements?
Well, we did a project like after last summer. We said everything is going to be interactive, and we did one story. Never. No, it was too much for us, I would say, at this point. I have a wonderful production I made in Japan, which is about the exclusion zone around Fukushima, where I went everywhere. We wanted to make like an urban explorer interaction thing, but I don't think we ever going to publish it, which is really, really sad. But it was a lot of work to do it. But yeah, we don't have that kind of resources at the moment to do that. So yeah, we put that to the side at the moment. We would love to do it though. We like it a lot.
Sorry, can we do more questions in the end?
Yeah, sure.
And invite the next?
Yeah,
or
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.